The British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon and welcome back to The Crow. My name is Tammy Mack and this is your 3:30 news update. Conservative Party leader John Rustad announced $3 billion in annual tax relief as part of his cost plan. Reporter Grace Miller has more.
In the cost plan announcement this morning, John Rustad, BC Conservative Party leader, unveils an election pledge with $3 billion in annual tax relief. Rustad said the plan, once fully implemented, will provide $1.5 billion in relief for the first year and increase over time. He says he hopes this will decrease the amount of young British Columbians leaving the province.
It's about making sure that those people, our youth in this province, can stay, that families can build that future.
The BC Green Party and BC NDP Party have not yet publicly responded to the announcement. I'm Grace Miller for BCIT's The Crow.
Rustad expects the deficit to initially grow under his government, but is promising to balance it out by the third or fourth year.
Certainly, going forward, our deficit will be slightly larger than what the NDP are projecting for this year and for next year as we add those critical additional spending, that additional $1.2 billion annually that will be added into that. However, through our approach with the investment that we need to see in our economy, the additional revenues that will come from there will offset by the time we get to the third and fourth year. Our deficit is projected to be lower than what the NDP's deficit is.
Before this, NDP leader David Eby has been critical of the Conservative silence on financials. Ramping up to final voting day, Eby says it has been a generation since the province has had such stark contrast in election candidates.
I'm asking people to stick together, to think very carefully about where they place their X on that ballot. I'll, of course, respect the decision of British Columbians, regardless of what decisions they make. But I don't think we've had an election where a vote has had this kind of significance for a generation.
On the Green side, Green Party leader Sonia Furstenau commented it is laughable that the Conservatives have taken so long to release a complete election platform. With final voting day 4 days away, people are hitting the polls. Reporter Keenan Tregaskis found out how many young adults vote annually.
BC Elections website says the 2020 election saw 45% of registered voters ages 18 to 24 hit the polls. With polls for advanced voting open at colleges and universities in BC, this number could change. Andrew Watson, the communication manager for BC Elections, explains the ways they have talked about voting with college students.
Leading up to this election, we had registration drives on campuses across the province to help share that information with post-secondary voters and make sure they had, the election on their radar and information about voter registration and voting opportunities that are coming up.
He also says that the convenience of advanced voting has seen an increase in voters. Keenan Tregaskis, BCIT's The Crow.
Keenan is now joining us live. So, Keenan, which colleges and universities have advanced voting stations?
So, SFU's campus in Burnaby has advanced polling booths open for both today and tomorrow. And tomorrow is the final day for advanced voting. UBC's campus also has that. And Douglas College in Coquitlam is open for tomorrow. Same with KPU in Surrey. They're also only open for tomorrow.
And how is advanced voting increasing the voter turnout?
So BC Elections says that they saw 170,000 people vote on Thursday, which was the first day for advanced voting. Andrew Watson, who I talked to, says advanced voting percentages have increased from 10% of the total vote in 2001 to 35% in 2020, and he says that trends show this could increase, and obviously advanced voting numbers could also increase with that.
Thank you, Keenan. More in election news. Calls for Conservative candidate Brent Chapman to resign have been renewed as more disturbing social media posts have come to light. Days following Donald Trump's win in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, Chapman posted a graphic instructing Liberal voters on how to, quote, kill themselves. Just this weekend, posts from 2017 surfaced where Chapman casted doubt on various mass shootings in recent memory and suggested people were not actually killed. Rustad has refused to dismiss Chapman as a representative and said that Chapman has received legal counsel to not comment further on old social media posts. Over the weekend, the RCMP and government officials presented evidence to the Indian government alleging they are involved in cases of violent crime and coercion on Canadian soil. Canada expelled 6 Indian diplomats yesterday, alleging India's top diplomat is a person of interest in the 2023 assassination of Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. India has rejected the accusations. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says India is undermining international rule of law.
No country, particularly not a democracy that upholds the rule of law, can accept this fundamental violation of its sovereignty. Canada fully accepts and respects the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of India. We expect India to do the same.
India has retaliated by expelling 6 Canadian diplomats as well. Federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has called for an emergency meeting of the Public Safety Committee.
I don't want the Indian government or Modi to think they've got someone in Canada who's willing to look the other way to ignore what's going on. We need to take an approach where we're all on the same side.
On the other side of the border, American officials have opted against condemning India's response to the accusations. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller says Washington is taking the claims seriously, but will not be commenting.
I don't have any comment on that, but as we've said before, they're serious allegations, and we have wanted to see India take them seriously and cooperate with Canada's investigation. They have chosen an alternate path.
Pro-Palestine group who made headlines for chanting, quote, "Death to Canada," has been officially listed as a terrorist organization. Naira Ahmed of the Canadian Press tells us more.
Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc says Sammy Doon will now be listed under criminal code offenses that ban people from donating or providing property to the group. Sammy Doon is also known as the Palestinian Prisoner Solidarity Network. Ottawa says the group has close links with and advances the interests of another group that Canada has already listed as a terrorist entity, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. The U.S. Treasury Department is also listing a Canadian citizen as an affiliate of a terrorist group, saying the citizen is part of the Popular Front's leadership and fundraising. Naira Ahmed, The Canadian Press.
The Canadian Real Estate Association says home sales climbed 1.9% in September, reaching the highest level since July 2023. The national increase was led by Greater Vancouver and Victoria, as well as the Greater Toronto Area, Hamilton, Montreal, and Quebec City. The association says the Bank of Canada's interest rate cuts hasn't prompted the improvements it was anticipated to. October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. According to Statistics Canada, 1 in 3 Canadians with disabilities had unmet workplace accommodations in 2022. Reporter Isabella Calisi talks with a local Paralympian about his struggles in the workforce.
Nathan Clement is a medal-winning Paralympic bicyclist and swimmer. He had a stroke at the age of 2, which caused him to lose mobility on one side of his body. He finds a lot of companies see disabilities as a deterrent to hire somebody, and one of the only ways he's able to break that barrier is through a strong work ethic.
And that's a tough thing for so many people who might just be doing their first job. They may be 15, 16, 17 years old, or they just recently had an accident or recently had an injury. They're trying to get back into the workforce. That's a standard, and that's something that no one should ever be told, and that's something that no one should ever have to go through.
Clement says when people with disabilities are added to the workplace, it's a lesson for everyone about how to adapt to the task at hand. Isabelle Glacy, BCIT's The Crow.
Dune director Denis Villeneuve has been awarded one of France's highest cultural honors for his contributions to cinema. The Québécois was awarded the insignia of Chevalier of the Order of Arts and Letters by French Culture Prime Minister Rachida Dati. In a statement, Dati says the director was recognized for his exceptional career and contributions to the global influence of French-speaking cinema. In addition to Dune, Villeneuve boasts projects like Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, and Sicario. Destination Toronto has estimated the Toronto leg of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour will inject hundreds of millions of dollars into the city's economy. The tourism organization says it expects the 6 concert dates to draw in $152 million in direct spending, which could grow into a $282 million economic impact. Over to weather, it is currently 13 degrees with a high of 15 and a low of 10 tonight. Rain is in the forecast tonight with a chance of showers later today, so keep your umbrellas close. This has been your 3:30 update. My name is Tammy Mack, and you're listening to BCIT's The Pro.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.